right, we're here for the week 4 press conference with offensive coordinator quarterbacks coach Jake Spavital prior to the Pac-12 opener in Seattle against Washington. We'll go ahead and start with questions with Jeff Ferrato from Cal Sports Report.
Jake, how you doing this morning?
Good. How you doing?
Okay. You guys are averaging 33 points a game, but that is actually just 8th best in the Pac-12.
I know.
What does that tell you about going forward now that you're in conference play, what you guys on your side of the ball have to be able to contribute?
Yeah, we've had a lot of discussions about this leading back all through fall camp. Just like really the last 2 games. Like let's talk about last game. Like we averaged about 5.4 yards per play. We need to get to 6.5 yards per play to actually get into the top half of the conference. You look at the scoring. That's also with the red zone attempts. It's also with our critical down margin as well. We've had a lot of discussions, and every year I always try to hit our goals based off of where we would rank in the conference, and this is a very dynamic league of offensive football. And we've got to be able to really match kind of the firepower of these other schools. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to scoring points. And obviously we need to score a lot more. And I think that has to lead to us being more explosive, and being more explosive is going to allow for more opportunities to score points. And that's kind of been the emphasis that we've been talking about a lot lately. But, this is a fun league to watch, fun league to be a part of. And we need to have more firepower from an offensive standpoint.
All right, we'll go next to Jim McGill from Bear Insider.
Jake, you guys had a decent level of success in the spring and fall going up against a good defensive backfield with some down the field shots, especially with the size advantage that a lot of your wide receiver core has. What will it take to get back to that? We're not seeing too many down the field shots so far this season.
Yeah, and there was a lot there's a lot going on with that. Like we need to be able to have more confidence in throwing it down the field. Sometimes when we talk about protections or just, in terms of accuracy and decision-making of QB play, we tend to lean on the run a little bit more, right? And you see that we are snapping the ball a lot, but we're not being as explosive as we need to be. And in order for us to be a top-tier offense, we've got to be more explosive, especially with our down-the-field throws. And that's what it comes down to. You see what every other team's doing in our league, and we need to be more aggressive in what we do, and really test those vertical shots more often.
You guys getting separation?
And yeah, separation, finding unique ways to create the separation as well. If it's stacks or motions or whatever we need to get to, but also when we have an opportunity for a one-on-one, we got to be able to win that battle.
All right, we'll go back to Jeff Ferrato.
Yeah, Jake. So can you talk a little bit about the quarterback situation as it stands right now? When we talked with Justin earlier, he said that it's kind of up for grabs right now. We hadn't got that impression up till now. What does Sam need to improve on still that will make you guys feel real comfortable with him?
Yeah, Sam, all these quarterbacks are young in terms of experience. And Sam, this is his first year playing quarterback at a consistent level. He's got about 2 games underneath his belt. His decision making at times, is a little off. I think, in this past week, there were some times that there were some big plays that were left on the field, especially in the pass game, also in the run game as well, with utilizing his athletic ability. But when you see him hit those home run shots, it's capable. You saw him hit about the 34, I think it was 34-yard touchdown run. That was pretty explosive as well. There's also some times where he hit Tron down the field on a little scissors play down in the high red for about a 40-yard gain, 40-yard gain. So it's there, he's got that, but the consistency has got to be increased, and it's the same thing with Ben as well. Ben loved how he entered the game on a 4th down and 4 and threw a slant out there to Jay Hunt without even warming up, and then continuing to check a play and throw a deep ball to Taj Davis down there with an opportunity to score. I think when you watch the Auburn game, we needed a spark, and Sam came in and gave us a spark. But then you watch the North Texas game, Ben came in and took over and played a very efficient game. So both of those guys are improving daily, but we need to see consistency with the decision making and just really the ability to stretch the ball vertically and go score. I do have a lot of confidence in Fernando as well. So those 3 guys are repping a ton right now. It is open every single week. Last week we had a pretty good battle, and we ended up going with Sam, later in the week. And that's just kind of how we've been week to week. And these kids know it. We've kind of made it clear to them that it's a week by week really just opportunity for them to separate themselves. Like in the long run, we wish we had somebody to just separate themselves completely and be like, this is our guy, and go from there. But right now, there's just the inconsistent play of everybody, and we got to be more stable in that room.
In this era where college quarterbacks are completing routinely 70% of their passes, I think Sam's in low 50s. How much of that is a factor when you evaluate him?
Yeah, I think it's just efficiency. Like you look at like our stats. You look at like how we're running the ball well. Really pleased with the run game. And I lean on that a lot because there's a comfort to that. And but when you look at our passing stats, it's not where it's ever been really in my career in this air raid system. That's something that's got to increase for us to be a very efficient offense and be a top tier offense. We got to be able to throw the ball more efficiently as well as keep the run game where it's at.
And I'd asked Justin about the O-line because I believe for the second week in a row, you guys only used 6 guys. How concerning is that? And is just to reflect the lack of confidence that number 7, 8, and 9 aren't really ready still?
No, that Braden Rome didn't get to play this week, but he played in the Auburn game. Like those are the guys that's like Braden Rome's going to be our swing tackle. You got Bastion Sweeney's going to be our inside interior guy. Those are the 7 guys that we are very confident in right now. There's also some guys with the that 8th, 9th spot that we're just kind of mixing and matching through. I think a lot of that is injury based. If you lose the center, who's going to go in as center? That's where Day comes in at center. There's a lot of different moving parts with that, but it's really Braden Rome and Bastion Sweeney are our 7 guys that we're very confident about.
Did Bastion play last week?
He did play last week. Bastion did. We didn't get Rome in because it was such a unique first quarter. We had 10 plays in the first quarter. We really had 4 drives in the first half. You had a 5th one right there at the end in a 2-minute scenario. So we really didn't get very many plays in that first half. And once we got the third quarter going, we held the ball. We're more efficient. We were running the ball effectively as well. And had more plays in the third quarter. And once we got the fourth quarter, it's more about running the clock out. So we didn't really get into a good rhythm of our rotations up front of what I like to do. Also in the pass game too, like with the receivers, we didn't get to rotate those guys in as much as we would like to. Brian Hightower was down on reps like normally what he was. It's just strictly based off of kind of the moment where we're at being down 17-0 and trying to play from behind and get back into it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Next question will come from Thomas Dunn from Hartford, California.
Good morning, Jake. You've been willing to use multiple running backs, and now with possibly the return of Jade Knott and the known quantity of Isaiah Afonso, how willing are you to put in a guy like Ashton Stredick when the situation calls for it?
Yeah, like we had Ashton, we had that 3rd down and 3 run that he broke for an explosive play, and he was tough. He should have been tackled a few times and just kept fighting his way like through all the tacklers and then got a pretty good gain. It was explosive and it shows his toughness, so I feel completely confident with Ashton. I think Ashton is an experienced guy. He's been around this program for a long time. He's not nervous at all when he goes in the game, and he does his job at a very high efficient level. So I'm very, very happy and very comfortable with Ashton Stredick going in the game. So with J.Ott coming back and Isaiah Afonso and Ashton Stredick, those guys are like 3 solid backs that we can lean on. And we're also just messing around with some other kind of backup guys, just to find the next one in, because those guys have gone through some injuries and ups and downs. We just got to be ready for the next guy to come in as our 4th and 5th guy.
In the sense of trying to find those extra bodies, do you ever have to run to a conflict of whether to possibly preserve the redshirt of Javian Thomas when it comes to that?
We've talked about that. We have, but he's ready to go. Like he is. Like I feel very confident in that kid too. I think just where he's been from fall camp and the strides he's made, Coach AT's done a great job with that guy, and he's ready to go. He is, and we're still kind of like, if it's going to help the team out in the long run, we're not worried about the red shirt, and I think that kid wants to play as well. So, we're going to be calculated with how we do it, obviously, but we're preparing him like he's going to play each week.
And then lastly, how would you assess how the tight ends have done through 3 weeks, and where do they need to continue to develop?
Yeah, I think the tight ends have been great. I think Coach Plow does a great job with those guys. They're probably the most consistent group on our offensive, side of the ball. Just from, Jack injuries and Asher Alberding, you got Jeff Johnson in there and JT Byrne. Like those 4 guys are just as solid as they come. They help out on special teams. Jack is a guy that You have to monitor because he will not come out of the game. You know, he's just a tough kid, loves to play in the game, wants an opportunity. Wish we can get him more touches. You know, at times, sometimes like, you know, with the confidence in the run game and we're not throwing the ball as efficient as we like, we kind of slow that down a little bit, but we need to get more multiple, use the tight ends more. And hopefully you're going to see them more active, you know, in the weeks to come. But really pleased with those tight ends. I think they're improving every single week. They do a lot of great things in the run game. There's some guys that are available to do great things in the pass game, and those are the guys I never worry about because Coach Blau does a great job with those guys, and there's just a great consistency and being very comfortable with that group.
Thank you.
We'll go back to Jim McGill from Bear Insider.
Hey, Jake, Saturday saw some of the starkest difference you'll ever see in offense with the slow start versus the very efficient play after that. What do you attribute that stark difference to?
Yeah, you look at the first two drives of the game. You know, we had 2 drops on critical downs. You know, we had a drop on a 4th down, and we had a drop on a 3rd down as well. Like we went 4 plays on the first drive, and I think it was 6 plays on the second drive. But like, you know, like that, those drops are critical, you know, and it comes down to not just one person, you know, everybody has their issues. That's kind of been the message each week is if you improve yourself, we're going to improve collectively as a unit. And, you know, like with us, it's a one play at a time mentality. And I know we have mistakes at times, but I loved how we responded back. And didn't really affect it. You know, a lot of people could panic in those moments when you're down 17-0, but we knew that if we just, you know, stayed the course and took it one play at a time and eventually get the ball in the end zone, we can just keep building off of that. And I thought we ended up being very explosive from that point. You know, you score 14 points. That was a big second touchdown in the second half to make it a 17-14 game. I mean, in the first half, excuse me, and then come out on the first drive of the second half and score to make it 21-17. I thought that was a big turning point for us. So like, you know, you look at starting slow, I think it was just poor execution in critical moments on those first 2 drives, and then they overcame it and they started executing pretty cleanly.
In the passing game, is there more inherent risk in exploiting the middle of the field as opposed to down the sidelines?
Yeah, I think there's got to be more shots and targets across the middle of the field. You know, we had a few of those in. Never got to them. Got a defensive hold on one of them that Tron was getting to, but we've got to exploit the middle of the field a lot more. If not, there's a big tendency of what we're trying to get to, and I think that's been an emphasis over the past few weeks, and we need to be better at that.
All right, we'll go back to Jeff Ferrato.
Jake, Taj Davis gets to go back to where he played for a few years at Washington. Can you talk about what he's given you guys and how he's progressed?
Yeah, I think Taj just came along great. If you look at where he was through fall camp, you know, he got here in the summer, he kind of eased his way into it and was works extremely hard. Got to really after the first game, you know, I felt like when we got into the Auburn game, he was a guy that you saw. You know, first game, we ended up catching a lot of different things here and there, caught a touchdown. I think he had 4 receptions in North Texas. Then we go in the Auburn game and we were having trouble winning some one-on-ones, but it looked on tape like he was definitely separating himself in those one-on-ones. So that's why we put the emphasis on him in this Idaho game. I loved where he was at. We put a reverse for him. He had a couple of kind of targets and shot plays that were directed for him. The one that Tron caught, he was the guy that really kind of helped with that because he was running extremely hard. There was a couple of missed throws that we had on some overballs to him that are there because you see it on tape. The kid's playing at a high level. He runs extremely hard. He's got a great skill set with that. When you have good speed and you're running as fast as you possibly can, you end up being a pretty good quarterback, pretty good receiver at that point. So love where he's at. He's tough. You know, he hasn't said much about this game, but you know, I've been, you know, in this time of college football, you cross a lot of guys that, you know, I had a few on my team is at Texas State that we ended up playing, you know, the team that they were previously on, you know, and there's a lot of emotions into this game. So I know he's acting like, you know, it's not a big deal and it's, you know, all about, you know, just going and playing out there versus Washington. But, you know, deep down, I know that there's going to be butterflies. There's going to be a lot of familiar faces. There's going to be a lot of probably trash talking as well. So, you know, that's just typically how it is. So, but he's going to be ready to go. And I'm excited to watch him go this week.
When he went into the portal and you guys were talking to him, what did he say about why he was leaving there and why he wanted to come to Cal?
Oh, he just talked about, like he liked our passing game, and he just wanted to be a part of it, like some very similar to how like Washington is. Washington's pretty loaded at receiver too, and he wanted to have more opportunities, more targets, and I think that's why he came to Cal. I think that Washington has a great receiver core. Obviously you guys have seen that, and I think it was just an opportunity for him to find a way to get more reps, get on the field, find more tape, and just kind of with our discussions and just kind of showing him the offense and what he's capable of doing and what we're capable of doing. And I think that's kind of what lured him to Cal.
Last thing on the quarterback situation. Are you planning to come out of this week with a guy who will be the quarterback on Saturday, or is it possible you could play more than one guy?
It's possible we can play more than one. I think there's a lot of evaluation still up in the air, but it's about, this is a big time game. All right. And this is about, who's going to give us the spark, who's going to be consistently doing what they need to do to move the ball. Because, based off of this Washington offense, man, we've got to be able to score some points. And this is what it's going to come down to.
33 points a game in this league is not good enough this year.
It's not good enough right now. I know that will kind of naturally, flatten out, through conference play, but that's not kind of what we're looking for. We got to score more points.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we'll go to Matt Moreno from Rivals.
You alluded to it a little bit maybe with Taj, and then we asked Peter about, his take on the defensive side, but there's so much talk about Washington's offense. Do you sense that maybe there's an extra motivation for your guys, maybe even the quarterback position in particular, to come out and play well, to prove themselves?
Yeah, I think every day they're trying to prove themselves. This is a great opportunity, national stage versus top 10 defense in the country. Very talented defense, obviously, versus a very, high profile team where Penix has got some of the greatest numbers I've seen through 3 games in a long time. It's like, what is he throwing for 500? I feel like, and 74% completion, it's a great test for us to show, what we're capable of doing. And, national TV stage versus number 6 team in the country versus with both sides of the ball from Washington actually playing at a high level and really in a top 10 in every category. It's a great opportunity for us to go out there and prove ourselves.
They have a capability of taking the ball away, especially in the back end. What have you seen from them just defensively in the back end, and then even with their defensive front to get after the quarterback?
Yeah, I think they're really good. I think it starts with those 2 edge players. Those 2 edge players are very disruptive, and they've got a very talented, experienced back end. Where when you got a pretty good pass rush coming on, and that's going to be causing a lot of takeaways. And you see what they're capable of doing, like tackles for losses, like they're going to be in positions for turnovers. And they played a lot of ball together. You can kind of tell. And they understand the scheme. They do a great job defensively. They're sound. But like their deal is to go get the quarterback, and we've got to be able to contain the pass rush, because if there's any slight hesitation of a throw, like those DBs are going to be positioned to pick it off. They are, but I think their linebackers are really good players as well. They're just solid in what they do. Like this is this is why they're ranked, top, 10 in the country, number 6 in the country. And they're one of the top defenses in the league too, and in the country, just because of what they've shown and the capability of being disruptive and athletic. And they'll play man. They'll play some cover 3. They'll play some kind of really some 2-man, 4-man bracket coverage, so like they're very confident in what in their pass rush, which rightfully so, because they let those DBs play freely.
All right, we'll wrap it up with a question from Steve Croner from the SF Chronicle. I think you're muted there.
Jake, good morning.
Morning.
I got on a little late, so if you've already answered this, I apologize. Okay. Three weeks ago, going into the season, you and Justin both said, Sam's our guy. We want him to play basically every snap unless we're way ahead or way behind. Now, Sam did get hurt, obviously, in North Texas. But what else has transpired that now 3 weeks into it, he's not quite the guy?
Yeah, no, like I think the injuries have set him back a little bit. The Idaho game, like he even went out in the Idaho game, as well. And if you look at that too, so like he really hasn't played a complete game. Now he was only out, I think, about 4 plays in this past week, but yeah, like I'm a big believer in when you start the season off, like you got to have full confidence in a guy, and I still have full confidence in Sam. But just kind of with the injuries and the ups and downs, and when you go into the North Texas game and Ben Finley's playing at a high level like he did in that game, that's up for argument now at that point, and that's kind of like the whole Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady kind of comparison, where if like, Ben was waiting for his opportunity. He came in, he threw it around, he moved the ball, looked really well versus North Texas, got the start versus Auburn because we were unsure about Sam's health at that point. I think Ben did nothing wrong in that game. Like, he was putting the ball where it needed to be. We didn't make very many plays. We needed a spark for Sam to come in that Auburn game, to come in. We were ready for him. I think the reps throughout the course of the week were limited for Sam due to his injury. So he wasn't as polished as needed. And then you get into this Idaho game and was playing okay. Like he left a lot of yards out there at times, but he hit some home run shots. Like we're looking for more consistency of it all. But then just the whole threat of him, with the hit that he took. Ben had to come in, and like it shows the confidence in Ben and just what he is. So like we're ready for all that, but we're still big believers in Sam, and we're big believers in Ben, and I'm also a big believer in Fernando as well. And we got to be ready for it all because like Sam has not been completely gone through a game yet, without being pulled in like a critical moment, like a testament to Ben to come in on a 4th down and 4 and throw a slant like that, not even have a warm-up throw. It just shows you that kid's always ready as well. So I think it also just shows to everybody here that we want to play the best guy, the guy that's playing the most consistent, but like we make it very transparent across the board that, this is why, and this is how, where we're going with things. And I think everybody's in a really good spot in the quarterback room. I really do. And, but I really truly believe in all these guys. I do. And, Sam still is a developmental guy, got a lot of ball left to play in his career, and he's going to continue to get better.
Great. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right, that'll wrap us up this week with Coach Spavital. We'll be back momentarily with Jackson Sermon. Thanks.